It sounds like the setup to a bad joke, but it was my life. I was 25 when I met him, a man who looked like he had stepped straight out of a romance novel. Tall, dark, and devastatingly handsome, with a quiet intensity that made it impossible to look away. He was 40, divorced, and raising a 4-year-old son. There was something about him that felt lived in, like he had seen the world in ways I hadn't yet. We met on a dating app. From the first conversation, there was an undeniable pull, something electric, something that made me ignore the tiny knot of unease forming in my gut. He had baggage, sure, a complicated past, family drama, an ex-wife he still tangled with, a son he loved but struggled to parent. Maybe I should have seen the warning signs, but when you're young and naive, intensity can feel like destiny. And oh, was it intense. We fell hard, fast. In those early days, it felt like we were the only two people in the world. Passion, adventure, late-night conversations that made me believe we were something extraordinary. But love built on adrenaline has a way of masking the cracks beneath it. His past wasn't just baggage, it was a storm. He had been raised in a cult, led by a man so deranged he was now facing federal charges. That kind of trauma doesn't disappear, it lingers, shaping a person in ways they don't even realize. There was guilt from his failed marriage, ghosts of past infidelities, and a co-parenting battle that sucked the air out of every room. But I had my own demons. An alcoholic parent had taught me how to make myself small, how to accommodate, how to sacrifice. Together, we were a perfect storm. I moved in early. I took on the role of a mother to his son. That little boy was my light, my heart. But his father? He was slipping further away, emotionally distant, unreliable. Every disagreement ended the same way, him shutting down, walking out, or making me the problem. And still, I stayed, because I thought love could fix it. It didn't. Years passed. I was in my early 30s, ready to build a life. He proposed, and I convinced myself that marriage would be the glue to hold us together. We even went to therapy, where I laid bare my exhaustion, my loneliness, my need for a true partner. And for a moment, things felt different. He seemed present, engaged, like we were finally stepping onto solid ground. We planned the wedding, and last September we finally said, "I do." 7 days later, he was gone. It started as something small, a broken promise, another no-show when I needed him to show up. But this time, I didn't let it slide. This time, I asked for more. And instead of stepping up, he disappeared. No conversation, no effort to fix things. He simply didn't come home. Then, an email. "I'm done." While I was away, he returned to collect his things, emptied my jewelry box for good measure, and vanished. He left no room for discussion, no closure. But the cruelest part, he refused to let me say goodbye to his son. The child I had raised, loved, and called my own, gone, just like that. Looking back, I see it all so clearly. I had spent years excusing him, making myself smaller, carrying the weight of his trauma while ignoring my own. Instead of growing together, I had slowly disappeared. His decision to leave shattered me. But it also forced me to confront the truth. I had been fighting for something that was never mine to begin with. So how do I feel now? I'm still grieving, still trying to make sense of it all. Some days like today, the loss feels unbearable. But I am also grateful to be free of a love that was never really love at all. If you take anything from my story, let it be this: love is not enough. Pay attention to the red flags, even the ones you're desperate to ignore. And for the love of all things holy, keep your jewelry in a safe place.